I don't know. I want you to just be like all in, like not just you know, like whatever
Okay.
you want to throw in, please do. It's great. Um, we are live now. I'm gonna share it. Um, let's see. I'm glad you're doing good. Um,
Likewise.
I've had a million things. My whole life has been a million things, seems like lately. But I feel like it's been going on for everybody. So not just me. So we're all in this together. Share. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm
See,
trying
this
to
doesn't
share
let
it.
me share on my page anymore. It just tells me I have to share to my stories, which is fine. But um, hi, whoever's here, come on in and welcome. Hi, guys. Um, I'm so excited to be here. When is the last time I've been on this thing, child? I'm
Has it
happy
been a
to be here,
minute for
y'all.
you?
It's been a minute for me. Have you been podcasting lately?
Um, I have.
Uh-huh.
I took a small break from traveling.
Yeah.
Still podcasting every week. New episode coming out every week.
Oh, but you're still like but you have enough footage to like still put things together and have stuff come out.
Yeah, and I knew the summer months would be crazy as far as setting appointments and interviews, just because
Yeah.
we're going on vacation. So
Yeah.
just made sense to do a lot more on the front end, so that the summertime everybody would have a break.
Yeah. And it feels like too this summer, I feel like I'm hearing everybody say they getting outside this summer. So because everybody's been in the house,
Man,
everybody's been
it costs a minimum of about 300 just to go outside. So I'm
really
gonna be very selective about when I go outside. Yeah, it's expensive.
well, but let me not pretend I don't know because right now gas prices are up, food, everything is up right now. So I guess you're right. It is costing a lot of money to get outside right now.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. And I wonder what traveling is like right now. I don't know.
I mean, with the kids coming out of school, it's just crazy right now.
Ooh. Hi guys. How are you guys? Listen, tonight we are having a Q&A and just a wind down with Tim. Tim, thank you so much for being here. Y'all know Tim. Tim is our real good friend. Hi. I'm so excited to be here. I've been gone a long time and I've been trying to learn to give myself grace about, because a lot of times I get really hard on myself, missing things or not, catching, certain things. And I get a little hard on myself. So I've been trying to give myself grace. And hi, Angel. It's Angel. I
Angel,
might
what's
have to
up,
post
Angel?
the link because Angel may want to jump in. Um, but I'm trying to give myself grace, y'all. So when I miss, I don't get hard on myself. Like it's life. Life is happening to everybody. So I don't want to feel a way about it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And before we get started, we're going to hit this good intro and we'll go. How you feel about it, Tim? You ready for
I'm ready. Let's do it.
certain things? And I just. Okay. Welcome, you guys. I'm so excited to be here. Again, we are here with Tim, and we're just going to do like a wind down Wednesday. Ooh, that's so much fun. You guys know where I like to ask questions and we all answer them. So I wanted to let everybody know from the beginning that this is just not a conversation for Tim and I. This is a conversation for everybody. And so any of the questions that I'm asking, we would love to see your comments and you answering them in the comment section, and we can get going. So I was gonna start pretty light at first, and then I do want to get into some of the hot topics. I never get into hot topics because I don't keep up with them. But I want to get into a few of them this time. So without further ado, let's get going. So the first question that I'm going to ask, because it's something that's really like a thing for me right now, and this is for everybody, do you feel you have a pretty good work-life balance right now?
Hmm. Right
Anybody?
now, for me, no,
Mhm.
not right now.
And for me either. For me either, I don't feel like my work-life balance is, and I'm asking this question. I thought it would be a good one because of everything that's happening and everything that's going on. It can be pretty stressful. Just seeing shootings and seeing, there's pandemics and there's inflation and there's recessions and I don't know, all high prices. Like it's stressful. And then, wanting to work and be safe and be able to provide the things that is needed, it kind of becomes the front focus, right? And then everything else kind of just gets the scraps of what we have left. And that's part of why I've had to take a little break from everything because I'm trying to adjust my work life balance because I got these two little people that they're fine, but they're looking like, okay, we want to do, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
working on my work life balance. How are you guys' work life balance right now? In the comments, Angel, you're here. How's your work life balance going? And Tim, do you have to leave to work or do you get to stay home to work?
So I work remotely,
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, but we're even working remotely has its own challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that for me, work life balance is tough. Between having my children
Mm-hmm.
and then working multiple projects and then having the podcast, having so many things on my plate
Mm-hmm.
can get very stressful very fast. On top of the fact that I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but
Mm-hmm.
dealt with a high level of anxiety throughout my life. So I'm very mindful of that and try to decompress any chance that I get. Um, I just know that it gets stressful, especially when so much is on you as a single.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot on me, and it's a lot of things that it's like the inflation prices are going up, everything's going up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're more money's going out the door, and then I got to work just as hard or more harder to
Mhm,
be able to provide the same level of lifestyle for my kids and everything like that. So it
mhm.
gets difficult.
It is difficult. And I had this expression because I've been dealing with some anxiety and like panic attacks and stuff here too. And so that when you said that I resonated so much like, yeah, like what is that about? And I think it's just I feel like it's a collective thing. We as a collective are feeling maybe some people's are a little more than other, but I think we're feeling it. It's definitely something happening that's feeling a bit overwhelmed. And what helps me, I'm going to ask you that first. I'm going to say, somebody says their work life balance is trash.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
saying having small littles and working is a setup for anxiety. Everything is mandatory work, momming, self care. It's just tough. It's hard to balance it all. And what's even harder is you hear people say, you have to put yourself first. It's almost like the flight when you're on the flight and they say you put your mask on first and then you worry about everybody else.
Right.
Um, Sometimes that's hard, especially as a parent. It's like, wait, what? Take care of me first and not my children. But how can you take care of them and how can you be, the best that you can be for them if you are not taking care of yourself? So, um, my next question was going to be, how do you manage your anxiety and your stress levels? What helps you? What do you do if you found anything?
Um, to help combat a lot of the anxiety, a lot of times I just take a break from work. I take breathers throughout the day. Um, One method that I adopted maybe about 2 years ago was the 90-20 rule. So many
Mhm.
times we hear the 80-20, but there's a 90-20 that I started to adopt. I work for 90 minutes and then
Mhm.
break for about 20 minutes. And
Okay.
in that time, during 20 minutes, I'm just really decompressing for a minute, trying to get
Mhm.
my stress level low. And then
Yeah.
I get back on it 90 straight minutes,
Mhm.
hitting all the tasks that I need to hit. So I take that approach throughout the day. I'm working out,
Mhm. Mhm.
definitely making sure I'm taking care of myself from that aspect, doing things for myself that just makes me feel good. So
Yeah.
whenever you get an opportunity to have self care, even though
Mhm.
you know small little children or multiple opportunities and businesses and stuff like that, you still got to take that time. So I'm very intentional about it.
Yeah. Um, and someone here is saying that, yeah, you can't, that's Candace. Hi, Candace. Right. You can't pour from an empty cup. You
Yeah.
really can't. And partly of what helps me is definitely taking those timeouts and sitting with yourself and breathing. But another thing that has helped that I try to do to help myself is just flat out remembering, okay, when things are going left and I feel overwhelmed and I'm trying to juggle a bunch of things and I'm thinking, what do I need to do right now? The first thing I'm thinking is, okay, you got to put yourself first. Where are you right now? And if right now you need a break, then that means that's what you need. And learning to say no, that's been a hard thing for me. But just learning like, no, it's just a flat out no, and not explaining myself. Let's normalize no being it and an answer without explaining, because why do I have to explain my no? I don't have to explain it. Let's not explain the no. It's just a flat out no. So then that's helping me. And but just always remembering and reminding myself, okay, God, put yourself first and checking in with and by putting myself first, I have to check in with myself and see what I'm feeling right now. Where am I right now? Because, you
Mhm.
know, bring it back. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's been helping me. What are some things that are helping you guys to cope and deal with stress, anxiety, work-life balance? What are you doing to help? And while you guys are answering that, I'm going to ask the next one, Tim, because you
That's-
mentioned children, and I mentioned children and juggling them.
Mhm.
What type of dad would you say you are? That and especially as far as discipline, because that's a thing for me right now. So, what type of dad? And you have a son, right? At least one boy. Okay, and especially from both sides, from on your girls and the boys, because I'm here. I need to know. I need to know.
um, if my children were to classify, I think if they were to classify me like the type of dad I am,
Mm-hmm,
I'm definitely 80% the cool dad,
mm-hmm,
20%
mm-hmm,
disciplinarian when necessary.
mm-hmm.
I'm real laid back with my kids when it comes to just letting them kind of just be free, play within the boundaries and the realm of staying safe. Just stay safe, please.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I gotta
yeah.
explain to your mama why you got hurt. I ain't trying
Ah,
to even go there. So
I'm not trying to do that.
you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want to do within these parameters. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to discipline, I take a different approach from how I
Yeah.
was raised. I've dealt with hard, strict disciplinarian
Mm-hmm.
type of parents where they were hard, they were strict, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some elements that suited me well, and there were some elements that didn't. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so for me, I feel as though my voice is strong enough to where I just gotta tell them one time, hey,
Mm.
son, look, I told you once, let's get it together, let's follow directions and things like that. And above
Mm-hmm.
all, trying to teach you life skills. Um,
Yeah.
so sometimes I'm a little hard or a little stern if I gotta repeat things more than once or twice. Of course they're
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
they're prone to make mistakes and they're not gonna hear you after the first time. You might
No.
and things like that.
Yeah.
I try to keep in the back of my mind that I was 7 years old like him. You know what I'm saying? Or, I was 12
Yeah.
years old, even though my daughter's 12, I was 12 at one point. So
Yeah.
I toed the line on certain things. So in those moments, the I'll discipline you as far as like I'm not beating you and things like that. It's got
Yeah.
to be extreme for me to beat you.
For me
But
to put my hands on you, if I
I'm
pull
gonna
out
put
these
my hands
hands.
on you, but
Yeah. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it's not necessary, for my
Mm-mm.
kids. But um, I would just say, but there are times where they test your limits. That's what they're supposed to do, and
Yeah.
that's sit them down and explain this is why you don't get to enjoy the privileges of watching TV or being on your electronics or doing certain things that you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I got to teach you a lesson, and
Yeah.
doing that the best way I can do it is just sit you down, talk to you about it, you know,
Mhm.
after I've calmed down a little bit, maybe I might
Yeah,
miss
yeah,
you, and then I come back and I'm like, hey, this is why we got to do it this way, but it's all to protect.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's really good. My whole goal in life has been so lately, the past couple years, I'll say, has been to unlearn everything that I learned and relearn it in the way that feels good to me. And one of the things, I've never been a mom before until now. So, and even with, the two, children are so different, and trying to understand or figure out discipline styles and that sort of thing has been a thing for me, especially with the boy. And so um, sometimes it gets a little challenging for me, but I definitely know that I don't want to do it how it was done back in the day or for us when we were children. I don't want hitting to be the first thing that I go to or that is going to. And y'all tell us in the comments, how are you disciplining your children? If you have children, what are some of your discipline methods? Because I'm trying to kind of balance a little bit, and I know that it's not up to someone else to tell me what needs to happen with my children, and that's up to me to do. However, I definitely don't want hitting to be the thing, because I want to be able to communicate with them and them be able to communicate with me, to get the point across, right? And sometimes I ask myself, did I hit, because I have spanked my children, but
Mhm.
did I do that because I was frustrated, or did I do that because I couldn't control my emotions? You get what I'm saying? Like, if I'm able to take a step away, and if I'm able to gather myself and calm down a little bit, would I handle it differently? And that's something that I've been trying to juggle between what requires these hands, and
Right.
then what's not that it's not that serious. You know what I mean? So that's been a thing for me. And it does play a role in that work life balance, because sometimes, I just have to say, I'm with my children 24/7, and I always have been. I've always been stay home mom, and so sometimes the work, I feel a little good doing it because that's my break, that's my getaway, that's my, sometimes it's my mental space away. And so I have to find a balance, because sometimes I'll get lost in it trying to catch a break, and they're just kind of like, well, you're gonna have to figure out something with us. So that's good. Anybody? No one said anything about
Yeah, and I'll,
the discipline side. Hmm.
I'll add something to that. Like,
Okay.
when it comes to us as parents too, we got to give ourselves grace.
Hmm.
Because sometimes, man, it's simple to go off on our kids, and we don't know. Like, man, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't have said it that way or done it that way. I mean, we all
Hmm.
human. We all make mistakes on how we, parent our kids at certain times and certain situations. So
Yeah.
we got to sometimes give ourselves grace in that aspect. And
Hmm.
it could be just times where, he or she needed them hands because talk to me that way, or you
Right. Right.
unlimited add too much. So you got to just use the right amount of discernment. I just always go back to what the Bible says: "Spare the rod, spoil the child." So
Hmm.
I I don't make it a point to try to beat my kids, and I've spanked them in the past. In the
Hmm.
few bigger ones, and
Right.
and you know, and I know I walked away like, man, did they really? Was that the punishment that warranted them? You know, getting in trouble like that? I've had those
Yeah.
moments, and I'm like, maybe I could have dealt with it. But,
A
you know,
little different. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I've had those moments too. Like, or especially after, it's autumn went down, and they're maybe sleeping or something, and they're so sweet and peaceful. And then you looking at them like, I ain't have to do all that. And I ain't have to raise my voice like that at you. Feeling bad about it. Um, Candace is saying, I have a 15-year-old and a 2-year-old. The oldest gets those electronics taken away, and he's good. The 1-year-old or the 2-year-old doesn't do much yet, but he gets the no, don't do that if he's doing something he shouldn't. The oldest tries things just to see if he can slide that one time, and no, sir. Yeah, I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and they're already trying. Like, they know, especially the 3-year-old. it's always a trying. Like, let me try and see. And then if you're saying, and for me, if it's the same, no, don't do that, then he's still doing it just to see how long he can do it before I'm actually on my way over to him. It's too much. It's so much.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? It's too much. So let's jump to now. Some of these are a little fun. I'm
What you
gonna
got?
ask this
I
one.
know you got
I'm gonna
something.
ask this one. Um, what are some red flags to watch out for in daily life? In your daily life, like what are some red flags just in anything, period? And in the comments, what are some red flags just in life that you feel that you should look out for? And maybe whether and just say if it's like through experience, like, oh, I dealt with this one time, and here on I don't ever deal with that again. I'm still here. I'm just grabbing this one.
Red flags, huh?
hmm to
I
look
mean,
out for in your daily life.
some basic red flags is,
Yeah, basic.
I'll tell you one of them. Car salesmen.
That's a red flag.
No, I'm just
I
actually playing.
was gonna say.
I forgot. I think Angel, she's a car sales lady, so I ain't even going. I ain't going. What's up, Angel?
Oh, that's my.
No, no. I mean, I just kind of tie back to maybe relationships when it comes to red flags. I think one of the main ones, I guess, me being like a single parent that I've encountered, I guess, man, of course, like liars, like definitely dealing with people who you could tell
That's a
can lie.
liar.
Can lie. I mean,
Mhm, mhm,
it
mhm.
clearly like they might
Yeah,
have told you something, and you heard them tell somebody else something, and it just
something different, and that's what you're telling me. Yeah, we're
oh
looking out for those red flags. Liars, not allowing yourself to be downplayed to suit others around you in any aspect. That's definitely red flag. I
yeah.
agree. That is a red flag. Let me think of a red flag that I think is good to look out for in daily life. Ooh, what can I think of? I'm asking these questions. These are good. Like people lying. Well, one thing that is has become, and I don't know if this is answering the question, but for me, I'm learning to really hone into my intuition and going within. And for me, learning to listen to my intuition and when I get those gut feelings, um, anytime I have those, to me, that's a red flag for something. To me, that's signaling something that, you know, I need to pay attention to. So I will say that it's very important, especially now more than ever, that we do go within and we learn to ground ourselves and we learn to be present, like in the moment and with ourselves. If you feel like your head is wandering or you're spaced out, or if you are a little overwhelmed with work or home life balance and all these things, I've learned that like that's a red flag that for me that I'm off balance and that I'm not grounded and that I'm not present in the moment because the past and the future do not exist. So sometimes you find yourself worried about the past or worried about the future, think about the past or worried about the future. And for me, when I get those feelings or just anything, it's a red flag that hey, you need to be present. You need to stay in the moment. You need to ground yourself. You need to check in with yourself and that sort of thing. So for me, that's been very important right now for me. Like I gotta be present because sometimes it is easy to. And then I find out being present helps to alleviate some of the anxiety as well. I've found.
That's right.
So that's something for me. I'm gonna see this. Oh wait, jo- let me see. Sorry. Jossie is saying, "Hey, Jossie," because these
What's up?
it says because these have been the atmosphere of my conversations lately: inactive, listening, ineffective communication, and victim blaming.
So,
Mm.
so Jocelyn, you just unpacked, done it, everything that probably is going on in social media right now. So we appreciate that
Period. That was good.
and the
Inactive
information.
listening.
Woo.
Ineffective communication and victim blaming are red flags for sure in your daily life. Ooh, yes, indeed. That was it.
That's real
That was
good.
it. That's good. Candace said, that's good there. That is
Well,
good.
but real talk, like even going back to the inactive listening,
Let me go back.
she's
Mhm.
so right because what people do if you're in a conversation with a person, people are not listening to hear you; they listening to respond. So it's so much inactive listening in that you just wait for somebody to
Mhm.
stop talking. You get your break in so that you can tell your point, so that you can see your point of view. You get them
Mhm.
to see that so that you don't even get to see the other person's point of view.
Yeah.
Have to be better at effectively listening to the other person that we are looking at right across from us. Even if you
Yeah.
don't agree with what they're saying, even if you got something impactful to say, you let that person say what they got to say so that
Mhm.
everybody can be heard and understood. It's not hard, man.
Wow, but that is true. That is exactly what's happening. It's not hard. Just let people. I felt that. Can we take a minute to pause for the cause? Because that is the truth right now. Like it's so much ineffective, and it's the ineffective communication for me. And the victim, like, oh, child, this is something. And I've been having to deal, and now I'm at a point where I'm not even pointing the finger anymore. I'm just like taking a look at myself and dealing with my inner self and my inner child and all these things. And obviously, there are things that happen to us in our life that is traumatic, and you feel and you hope, but you cannot go your whole life being that way and just using the excuse, well, this is just how I am, or this happened to me, and this is why I am the way that I am. You can't use that excuse forever. Like, we have to figure out how to get past this stuff and do a much better job. Ooh, this was it. This right here, that was the one. That was the one.
Y'all see, that was the one.
Yeah, yeah. Now let me look at the next because I'm looking at the time and I want to have time for hot topics because I want to get into Lori. I want to get into all these other things. So let me just ask a few more because that was so good. Ooh. Um, let's see. Okay, this one will just be fun. What social stigma does society need to get over? I want to talk about that one. A social stigma that society needs to get over, guys.
Hmm.
In the comments.
Wow. Um, it's actually a good question because
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, my podcast is called Living to Overcome Cultural Stereotypes. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that question kind of ties into, a social stigma and or a cultural stereotype that we can overcome even as African Americans. Um,
Mhm.
I think maybe a social stigma that I mean, I kind of go back to one of the classic ones about angry black men and women.
Mhm.
We are some of the most passionate people on the face of the earth. We're some of the most creative. We are some of the smartest people on the face of the
Mhm. Mhm.
earth. Because of that, I believe that we've always been intimidated by, like, we've always been the prey, number one,
Yeah. Mhm.
and we've also been wrongfully accused of always being aggressive, and that's
Yeah.
not necessarily the case just because
Mm-mm.
just because of who we are or our socioeconomic background. It's not because of any of that stuff. You can't judge a book by its cover.
Mhm.
So I think that's maybe one of the biggest ones that I can just think off as far off the top of my head. Is just not all angry.
We're not upset. We're not
Got plenty
mad.
of reason to be, but we not all upset.
We got plenty of reason to be, and I think that's the key. That's hitting it on the head right there. We've been through a lot. If you just look back, just over life, life has kind of been set up in a way or manipulated in a way for us to have a little harder time. And, we're tired. We're, over it. We're frustrated about things. And yet we still get up and we go and we still push through and we are so resilient. And, you know, we bounce back so well. And then, but we're angry. Like, well, yeah, we're tired. Like,
Yeah.
let us a break. Like, it's almost like, we're having to always start the race, the same race, all the way back, while certain ones are starting it, you know, forward. And then we're still like racing, still running, running, running. And it's like when you see, even after you started us in the back and we're catching up to you, then now you're throwing obstacles in the road for us to trip over. And like we're just a little frustrated. We're a little tired, but we're not angry. We have reason to be, but we're not. And so that's true. That is so true. I'm gonna say, somebody says, Candace says, single equals lonely. I'm not
Mhm.
lonely. I'm not lonely.
Not long.
You see people getting married and kissing and doing all that on social media, so now it equals goals. I'm gonna say that. That's something else. Like that don't necessarily mean goals. We don't know what's happening in the background. We don't know that them people are really happy or whatever.
Hey,
But that's true. I'm not single and lonely. Yeah.
Candace, you're right. Single does not always equal lonely.
No.
I think single. I think, of course, sometimes being single, you may have lonely moments,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you have moments where you um, desire the companionship, and things like that. But sometimes even the companionship impedes your peace, and you like, no, I'm good. You
You
could be.
over it. Like, okay, don't come around here with that. Because sometimes when they say, I'd rather be alone than unhappy, it's the truth. At this point, especially when you get to our age, and not that we're just so old, but when you get to our age, I take peace over everything. So I take peace over a relationship. I'll take peace over hanging out, friendships. I'll take peace over everything. Just give me peace because I don't want to be bothered. I think that's so good. These are so good. And then somebody says, entitlement. Your opinion doesn't really matter about my life. Yeah. And especially those who feel like they're so like, it's okay to be educated. That's good, but that's still your opinion, and it's a fact to who. That fact may apply to you, but not to me, right? So that's very true.
I even think about that when it comes to anything. When it comes to entitlement
Mhm.
in relationships, a lot of times once we get into a relationship, whether it be a boyfriend girlfriend, a marriage, and all those other things,
Mhm.
like there's should never you should never carry a sense of entitlement for someone who you
Mhm.
share a partnership with. There's never an ownership on anything. You can't
Yeah.
own how a person thinks, how they move, how they operate in that relationship, or even in how they operate in their own personal life.
Right.
You can always give opinions based and give support
Mhm.
of whatever the situation is, but it's still up to that person to make whatever decision that they feel they need to make for themselves, and you just have
Mhm.
to respect it and honor it. And a
Yeah.
lot of times we want to always insert ourselves because we feel like, based on a particular title, whether it be mom, dad, brother, sister, friend, relationship, or whatever, because of that word, that title, or there's a sense of entitlement
Mhm.
and that's not the case.
And that's not the case. Ooh, child. Let me tell you something. That's good. That's good. We need to stop that. Okay, we need to stop that foolishness. Okay. Um, let's see. I'm getting another question. This will be the last one, and then we'll jump into um the other like three that I want to talk about for real. I mean, all of this is for real, for real. Let's see. Let me just read this one real fast before I do. Again, based on my conversations, hypersexualizing of Black women at a young age, that healthy Black love doesn't exist and thrive, and that hypersexualizing young women at a young age, and that healthy Black love doesn't exist and thrive, and that Black people aren't intelligent, or to be surprised to find out that we are. Says, I live in Texas, y'all. So that's true. I do want to touch on the hypersexualizing of the young Black women. Like everything doesn't have to be like, oh that's too grown, or that's too sexy, or that's too, you know what I mean? Like everything doesn't have to be, when you look at certain things, um that way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I agree with all of this that you said. But definitely that, because I was looking at something and everything was, oh, she, it went straight to must have been a little girl on a beach or something, and she was a full swimsuit. But sometimes young girls, especially melanated women, young girls can be a little shapely, even so be shapely, not I, So
Yeah.
then the first thing is go, well, look at she on the beach. We wear swimsuits on the beach. Like, and so why are you guys even looking at her or pointing out I agree with that. Like that is so annoying. Stop drawing attention to that because like let people live their life. Everything ain't gotta be about sex or whatever. And black love does exist and it's possible. Every man ain't a deadbeat or this or that. And every female, every melanated female is not a thought or for the streets. Or I was like, y'all stop that.
Right.
Stop that. Please stop that. And you don't have to be super educated or super this amount of money in order for love to really be happy or thrive for you. You know what I mean? Other than that, everything is ratchet and that sort of thing. Y'all stop with this. It's on my nerves.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Black
It's on my
love,
nerves.
black love is so beautiful,
It's so beautiful.
and all
And
we
it's the original. Everything that you see here originated from that one thing. Our blood, our black love blood runs through the veins of every single thing. So get into it. None of you would be here without it. So just know that. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. It stemmed from that. It stemmed from our love. It's running through the veins
right.
of every single thing. You wouldn't have it if it weren't for it. So
That's real.
get into it. Okay, so I want to jump into because I don't want to drag it out.
Right.
So okay, I want to ask one more fun question and then I'm gonna jump into it. And I have to ask, what weird food combinations do you really enjoy? This is just a fun one before we go into it, but do you guys have any weird food combinations that you really enjoy?
I got one.
Okay.
I mean, I have a bunch, but this main one started when I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
Remember when when we were in high school and you would get the cup of fries, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, I used to mix ketchup, Old Bay seasoning, and hot sauce all into one and
Uh-huh.
put it in my French fries.
That
Uh,
sounds good.
it is. It's really good.
Mhm.
I think it's great. I still do it to this day until last week when I got sick and because of my acid reflux, and I said
Uh-oh.
I can't touch the hot stuff no more. So, but but yeah, that was one weird combination. I tried the ketchup and mayonnaise. It wasn't a fan because I'm not a mayonnaise fan.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Say ketchup, Old Bay seasoning, and hot sauce.
Okay. Do y'all got some weird food combinations that you like? That one was just fun because I have weird food combinations and what do I like? Um there was I got so many weirds like you're eating what and like yeah I'm eating that. Okay, like growing up, okay, so I'm
Yeah,
a pickle fan. I love pickles. Like I'm
okay.
from St. Louis and St. Louis, Missouri, and we love pickles there. But we would add candy to ours. So I'm sure you've heard that, like putting the peppermints down in the pickles and eating that way. Even now we make the pickles. Um with the candy flavor in them already. So like my favorite is the green apple Jolly Rancher pickle. So it's a little sweet. It tastes like green apple Jolly Rancher. I have a cousin who makes that. So that like pickles and like sweet things like that. We like. um, it's a favorite.
Over here
Um,
struggling like
like what? I like to eat sour cream and onion chips. I don't eat many chips not right now, but sour cream and onion tater chips with ketchup on them. Like you leave them in the bag or put them in a bowl and you squeeze the ketchup all over. Shake it up, and then you can even put a little hot sauce for a little kick. That's good. What say y'all? They say that she said someone saying they don't have any
said,
weird food.
Candace says she doesn't have any, so Candace hasn't lived yet, so it's okay.
Um, she said she don't have any. Okay. So I just want to know that because I have some weird foods. Okay, let's jump right into it.
Let's
So
go.
you guys, everybody is talking about I want to just start with the Lori Harvey thing because we won't be on this long. I feel like we'll be in and out for this. Tim, just give me your thoughts about this. Do you think how things? First of all, can somebody fill me in on what happened? That's first of all because what happened? All I know is that they just broke up, and why this matters to any of us, I don't know. But
I
do
don't
you
know.
think? I think my whole point is she wrong? Is she wrong for? Because it sounds like everybody's coming on, beating down on her because I guess she decided she didn't want to be in the relationship anymore. And is she wrong for that?
I mean, I've heard different stories. I think the story that I heard was that he wanted to take the relationship to the next level, which meant
Mhm.
marriage.
Mm,
She chose that she wasn't ready for that,
mhm,
so they broke up because they just were headed in two different directions.
mhm.
Now, I think we have spent rather click new clickbait is just boring right now, or we just spend way too many moments and way too many opportunities, just really putting a lot of these relationships on a pedestal.
On a
So
pedestal.
that's,
Yeah.
but I also would say, regardless of it, she's not wrong for making whatever decision that she made. He's not wrong for loving her the way that he loved her.
Never.
Nobody, nobody's necessarily wrong.
Wrong.
Always look at hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. They say, well, he's 35 and she's 25. Michael B. Jordan, you should have known she wasn't ready. She ain't even lived yet. You know what I'm saying? Hindsight is 2020.
Mhm,
He
mhm.
could have known that, but he still, but she still could have said she was ready. They could
Mhm, mhm.
conversations to say, listen, I'm ready to take this next step and propose to you, but maybe she wasn't ready. We don't know.
Somebody, we don't know what happened. And that's true. That's true about putting these relationships from people who we really do not even know on pedestals to even care this much about it. I feel that honestly, I feel that I was as brave. I'm better now, but I feel like just at that age, I don't feel like I was as brave to be able to say, I don't care how long we've been together, I really do like you, and I really probably do care about you and love you, but I'm not ready to settle down, And sometimes just out of what people will say or what people will think or whatever, you're not, you just stay in something um, that you're not ready for or that you didn't want to do. And so here you are now, you're divorcing, you're not together anymore, it's a broken home when you could have just been upfront like, I'm not ready to do all that. I just wanna be together and chill. I don't want to settle down. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see what Ken's saying. Could be the right person, but not the right time. Ain't that something?
But here's the thing about Hollywood,
Yeesh.
and Steve Harvey came out and said it. He knows. Look, he's been married 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that it's very, very hard to have a relationship or a marriage in Hollywood. You in the limelight, it's very tough. We saw Megan Good and Devon Franklin divorced after 9 years, and we thought, once again, we see another black marriage. We put it on a pedestal, and then as soon as it was over, we you got women crying over the relationship. You got people tearing up that they didn't make it, and it
Yeah.
happens every time. And
Yeah.
so we have to keep in mind that these people that we look up to as far as our heroes and our actors and actresses and people that are influencers on social media, they have a least less likely chance of their relationship going the distance because they're in the public spotlight. Look at Denzel and Pauletta. They've been together for 40 years because she stayed out of the limelight. Instead of her going into film, what does she do? She goes into Broadway and starts winning Tonys and all this other stuff and raising their kids while
Mm-hmm.
Bell was up there. Look at Samuel L. Jackson and his wife. They've been together for over 40 years. She saw him all these other things that he was going through back in the 70s and 80s, and they still been rocking together, but she stayed out of the limelight.
Yeah.
When you stay out of the limelight, you have a better chance of your
Not a
relationship
chance.
going the distance. And they just were in it too much. You would see every little thing going on, and I'm like,
Every little thing, every little vacation, every little. That's true. Yeah, that's a lot. And then people, yeah, that is a lot. I just say that I'm glad that, and then someone is saying, what's that? That's what I said. He put too much on her. She's only 25.
Mm,
Um,
that is one thing you could say. Like, once again, it's a hindsight is 2020 thing, but she also chose to be in that situation for a year, and I'm pretty sure throughout that year of relationship, he made it abundantly clear he wanted to marry her, but she still
mhm,
stayed into the situation until she couldn't stay in it any longer. She,
mhm.
you could equally say the same thing on her side, but is that even the, kind of the point at that, in this point? Like, we can always say, oh, looking back at it, well, she was 25, how could you know she was ready? But some 25-year-old women are ready to get married, so you
They're
just,
ready. That's true. Some 25, 25. But I do think that maybe this was a conversation. It had to have been a conversation. And so, maybe that's what people are saying or why they're getting on her so much, saying like, well, why stay in it so long when you knew you didn't want to get married or whatever. But that is what it is. I think my whole point in it all is that's them folks' business. But more so for me is that she wasn't ready. And kudos to her to be able to say it's not what I want to do, whether she dragged it out or however she did, she didn't want to. And how can anybody be upset that she didn't want to do it? I mean, I guess it sucks, there's some hurt feelings or whatever. So I get it, but at the end of the day, we all have free will. We were all given that. And so to even bash somebody for exercising that right, and we just said self care and putting ourselves first and choosing ourselves over no matter what it may look like to other people, no matter what anybody will think, no matter how anybody will feel, you have to put yourself first. And all I see is that whether it was him who did it or whether it was her who did it, I just see that a person put themselves brought into reality, put checked in with themselves and said, "This is not what I want, so I'm not going to do it."
I
Period.
respect that a lot more than going the distance and saying you're not ready. I mean,
And yeah, me too. I respect that more. Don't take me all the way and you're not ready. So, yeah, I agree. Okay, so next thing, I'd like to jump into this. How y'all feeling about this food shortage? Food shortage, formula shortage. Things are getting scarce. Things is looking a little cray cray. What say you? How do you feel? What are you feeling? Me, there I was attacked by I simply said on a post that, well, it's all is not lost. We produce milk. And I just simply said, aside from women who have medical issues or reasons why they are unable to, I said, aside from that, and even there's a research that says there's only about 10% of women who cannot, for whatever reason, breastfeed, but the other 90% can. And what I was saying is I hear a lot of people, and there's people who I know personally who have just simply said, I'm not doing that, or that's weird, or it hurts too much. And then they just flat out don't. And at the end of the day, I'm not knocking no woman, again, anybody for what it is. It's free will. You're free to choose what you want to. I'm not knocking people for it. But what I was saying was, and this was before they started even like really announcing, like it got a big thing about there being a food shortage. Um, and I was saying that, and I remember saying, right now there is actively a formula shortage, and so it's a very serious thing that women consider if you're able to, then to do it. You know what I mean? And this is not coming for women who feel, actually tried and could not, and for whatever reasons. I'm saying if you're able to, you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to push past sore nipples. You're gonna have to push past whatever to get we our milk flows we get, and it's better for them anyways, and this is my opinion, no shade, you know what I'm saying. um but there are people very upset and popping off about the situation. But how do you feel? Have you heard about it, Tim? Did it make you think or feel some type of way? Because it is sad for, especially for parents who need it and they can't get it for their babies.
yeah, I, yeah, I mean, of course, I felt something just being a father.
Mhm.
I'm not a woman, so I can't imagine what you have to go through as far as, from the element of breastfeeding and some now that may be your primary choice to feed your baby now, and
Yeah.
that may not have been your more favorable option, and now that
Yeah.
just for your baby to survive, you have to do that. And so um I feel really bad for the mothers that have to put themselves in that position. As far as being a parent, I'm not in that position anymore. My youngest kids are
Yeah.
2, so they don't
Mhm.
have to go through that. I'm grateful that we don't have
Yeah.
that situation. But for the parents that do have to go through that situation, my heart really just goes out to them. It's just a very unfortunate thing that when you plan to have a child and a baby and things like that, when you going through all of the steps and the stages and planning, the
Mhm.
last thing that you would ever think is that you would plan to not have any formula for your baby after
Yeah.
they come home from the hospital. So I can only imagine what they're feeling.
Yeah.
It's a struggle, and it's one that I definitely share with all parents. um and I just kind of go back. I mean, just being a man,
Mhm.
it's just a lot of things. We're dealing women are dealing with not being able to choose what's best for their bodies when we're talking about
Period.
so we're dealing with women having to fight, abortion laws and bills and things like that, but and also having to deal with a shortage when it comes to formulas. So now it just doesn't add up. It's not math. The
Mhm.
math ain't mathing. We talking about taking away women's rights when it comes to abortions, but then they still got to conceive a child but not have any formula. It
Yeah.
doesn't really add up. And that's where I just think a lot of our priorities need to be shifted onto the right things. Getting
Mhm.
our babies fed, getting our families fed. We're going through inflation prices where you're talking about 15 to 17% up on beef and poultry, or 8 to 10% on fruits and vegetables. Just everything's going up in all the grocery stores. And so from that aspect, there's even shortages on that stuff too. But
Two.
have just no formula
Mhm.
any of these grocery stores or pharmacies and everything like that. It's just a very sad time.
It's a very sad time and it's a scary time. And at the same time, it feels like, could we have been better prepared for it? Could we have seen it coming? Could we have made, you know, different choices for our lives? And I say that to say, um, and maybe not us. Maybe it doesn't stem from us. Maybe it stems from generations before us. But to just ever get, and this is probably going way off the subject, so I'm gonna touch on it and just leave it there, or maybe it's just a whole nother conversation, I'll say. But to ever just allow ourselves to get into a situation of dependency. I believe there was a time before where we grew and planted our own things. We actually nursed our own children. And this is no jabs at anybody today. I'm talking about back in the day. Um, but unfortunately, somehow we got into where it started or where it stemmed from depending on this system to provide groceries, to provide this, that, and the third for whatever the reasons are. And this is my opinion. Um, and I feel that now, because when we did that, I kind of feel like things kind of got off track and off balance. I think um, we take so much, trying to mass produce, from the earth, and we're not replenishing, we're not putting back, we're not being good too. And I just feel like we've come to a time where balance has to restore itself. It has to come back to what maybe was naturally intended for us in the first place. You know what I mean? It is very sad. It's hard, especially when you are not prepared, when you don't know what to do, when you have depended on things being a certain way for so long because it's all we've known. Um, However, I see, it just kind of is what it is. And what can we do? You know what I mean? What can we do other than, kind of try to prepare, the best way that we can, because um I don't know that it's gonna get any better before. I mean, I don't know that it's gonna get better before it gets harder. It may be harder before it actually gets better. And it looks like life is sending us back to the way of nature and what things were naturally intended for us, whatever that is, whatever you think that may be. But that's what it seems like to me. It seems like that's what's happening. Um,
I
and
agree.
it doesn't sound like the worst thing to me, it just feels like it's time, and it should have been the case. Us, providing for ourselves, us growing our own food, and, hunting and all. Like, I know that's a lot, but I'm just saying it may be that. It may be we definitely have healthier choices and healthier options, and we probably wouldn't overeat the way that we do, just having all this unnatural food provided for us by the droves, and just, you know what I mean. And we just eat and consume, and we're taking in things that are unnatural, that are not healthy, that's not even real food. It's not real food. A lot of the stuff they're claiming they're stamping organic on it is not even organic. It's we're eating seedless things. What do you mean? How is it growing seedless? Why does it not have seeds? It's not organic if it does not have seeds. You know what I mean? I just think it's coming back to the way that it's intended, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna get a little rough, guys. Candace is saying it's very disheartening. Divine order. It is divine order. It's being restored. I feel to this planet, and it's necessary. We have to do that.
Good.
It's something else. It's something else, and um, the strong will survive. It kind of, listen, I don't get into Bible things and that sort of thing, because I just kind of like to stay. But it kind of makes me feel like when I was growing up in church and stuff, and speaking about revelations and that sort of thing, and just how the times would look and feel, and that sort of thing, and them even saying, "Now, am I tripping?" Guys, let me know. But is there a part in the Bible where it's talking about how there'll come a time where you'll be able to throw money in the street and it won't even matter? Is that the Bible?
I would need to. I haven't read that verse, but
Because I don't know, and it was something that came up. And go ahead and say what you were going to say.
no, I was just gonna agree with you. I was gonna say
Mhm.
the same thing. Is that I believe that even biblically, like we're living in the days of Revelation, like that the end is coming, and I do believe that maybe the end is near. We just don't know when it is.
We just don't know.
I mean, the great revelation is coming, and a lot of things that have been happening. I mean, it's just been crazy. So we have to just prepare ourselves best way that we know how. We have to look out for ourselves, our families, and our best interests from from a holistic standpoint, from being healthy emotionally, physically, spiritually. You have to
Mhm.
just be able to take care of yourself. We have overindulged on so many things in our country for all of these years, and now we're having all of these things happening. Yes, we're the richest country in the world. We have so many resources, so many things, but look at how we treat each other. Look at how we act. Look at the things
Mhm.
that are happening with gun reform. Like other countries don't have to deal with certain things that we continue to put ourselves through. And so
Mhm.
we have to just be ready for when God is going to just come back. And those times it seems like it's coming near and near, because
Mhm.
growing up we didn't have to deal with certain things growing up. I think even when we talk about like mass shootings and things like that, remember, man, I think growing up for me, when the Columbine high school shooting happened, I think that was like
Mhm.
1999. When that
Mhm.
happened, mass shootings were unheard of in the US during
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time. You didn't have a lot of mass shootings now. Here it is
Mm-mm.
now, we're in 2022. We didn't had over 250 mass shootings, and it ain't even been 250 days in the country yet. And so, in 2022, it ain't even
And
been two,
22 too. Yeah.
ain't even been that. And so here it is, we dealing with so many things that just seem like the end is near. So we just got to be ready, man.
Whew, we have to get ready, good people. Now is the time. Now is the time. Um, if there's no other time to be ready and to be focused on what's happening, and it's the reason I kind of set everything up and saying bringing yourself back to the present, being grounded, going within, taking care of yourself, listening to your intuition. I'm saying these things because um, that's where the divine, spirit, God, people say God, universe, Holy Spirit is the way that it speaks to you and lets you know and give you instruction and give you the guidance on what to do and how to move and where to go next. This is the point. Coming into this is the reason of me bringing this up. And paying attention to red flags and things that don't sound right or things that don't make sense to me. Does that really add up? Does it sound right? Because we are living in times where everything is going crazy. They mentioned about the devil running rampant. In the end times on the earth, seeking who he can. In the last time, like really, like who else can I get and deceive and throw off to take on out of here the last little minute. And it just feels like that is happening so much right now. And so it's so important to um do whatever you do to help calm yourself and just listen to that gut feeling, listen, pray, um and just listen on how to move and how to be, the instruction of what you're giving. um because it'll save your life. It might come down to the matter of life and death at this point. You know what I'm saying? So, wow, that's interesting. That's something. Hey, Shay. And Shay said, mercy. Said, mercy. Good God. Yeah. So, oh, this was so good. I had one other question that I wanted to talk about, but maybe we can do like just something else. I'll talk to you about it later, how we can like answer the question on video and post it and let everybody kind of comment underneath. I want to try to do that one for the last question. So we'll talk about it. I'll see if you're up to that. But that's that. That's it for me tonight. Tim, did you have anything else that you wanted to say? And always shout yourself out and how they can follow you in your podcast every time.
Yeah, Candace, thank you for having me on tonight.
Yeah.
Always enjoy, our his and her segments and things like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Cool. For the viewers and the listeners, you can reach me here on Facebook at Tim Nicholas. I'm here. I also have a podcast. It's called The Locks Lounge. Lock
Mhm.
stands for Living to Overcome Cultural Stereotypes. And you can also reach me on Instagram at Locks Lounge Podcast.
Mhm.
Also on YouTube and all the other like Spotify, Apple, and all those other things. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Thank you. I'm so excited. And I'm a part of the locks.
Yeah,
Well, it ain't
I know
locked yet, but
congratulations. I see
thank
a lot.
you. Thank you.
Welcome
I'm
to this
excited.
world. Welcome.
I'm excited about it. I'm so excited.
They look beautiful. They look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for always like showing up for me, even when I take a break. But the bottom line is a lot happening in life. Life is happening. Life is lifing. Okay.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I might need to take a step back, but I'm always coming back and I'm always here and y'all can reach out anytime and I always respond. I love y'all so much. Tim, thank you so much for being here again. I'll definitely be calling you later so we can answer this. I got an idea for this last question. So, okay, you guys, I hope you guys have a great night. Tim, I will speak to you later. And until next time on another episode of Conversations, I will see you guys later. I love you. Bye.